Oh, yeah, cool with that.
Yeah, you're alive.
Right, we'll call this meeting of the Regional Service Commission to order. We're a couple minutes late, so it's about 5:35 p.m. We have a quorum here. And I'll move right along to the declaration of conflict of interest. Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Alan, seconded by Harvey. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Adoption of minutes of the board meeting of February 27th.
I move adoption.
Moved by Jim, seconded by Al. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. There was no business arising from the previous meeting. No new business, but we do have the staff reports. Oh, sorry, when we get there, can we move the solid waste report into closed session? I have a motion to do that. There's a quotation involved in it. And so it would be good to talk about that in closed session. And you didn't add, we need to go back to the adoption of the agenda, don't we?
Yeah,
Okay.
to add that, I was gonna add just under new business. but-
Okay, so back on under adoption of the agenda, you would like to add the Bay of Fundy missing,
Dog rescue,
okay? And we'd like to move the solid waste report into closed session. We make that motion as part of that as well. Okay, moved by Denny. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Harvey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Okay, so we'll go back to new business and talk about the Bay of Fundy missing dog rescue, Danny.
I just got this from John when I came in, so I know a bit about it, but I didn't read the whole. The whole letter, so I guess the gist of it is, Sherry Doucette of the Bay of Fundy Missing Dog Rescue is looking for some funds for a few cameras and a live dog, or no trap, I don't know what it's called, but. Kennel. She does do a lot of work in all of Charlotte County right now, Bay of Fundy, missing dogs. And she put this letter together along with, Paulus has now, I believe, the actual quote from John.
Yep, it's been forwarded to.
Yeah, you should be on your phone.
Oh, okay, so the only thing I would suggest or ask that this just be sent to, for committee of the whole meeting for her to come in and do a presentation on and ask. Before we send any money or ask for any money. That would be my
Recommendation,
recommendation.
Al?
Are we doing this as a region or are we just all gonna look after our own? Is this a regional mandate or?
It sounds like it. I'm hearing about the same time you.
Oh, okay. I just wanna know if it's something that I'm gonna give us like a piece from my area and your area, whatever.
Well, my suggestion to her originally when she asked me was, I said to bring it to the regional, because where she's covering most of Charlotte County.
Mhm.
Instead of going to each individual and get what, and I guess we can bring that up to her at the time. If she gets nothing here, then maybe she will go to individual councils, I'm not sure.
It looks like at first glance, you're not looking for a lot of money. It looks like it might be around $3,000. But don't quote me on that. I gotta actually look at the quotes. I literally just got the quotes too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll speak on their behalf, just a little bit I know, and I don't know a whole lot. What I do know is that they do good work for the whole area. And she gives a full report on the amount of dogs they're able to rescue and save over the year. And it seems to be a service that more and more people are relying on, because they're out there in many spots with cameras and telling people how to do it correctly. So we're very fortunate to have this service in our area.
Yeah, it's not, I do know the lady and I follow them a little bit on it, and it's not somebody that just goes out and puts a trap out and gets the dog and takes it home. She's got a lot of training that she's taken for it, so she's well versed on it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation, is get her to come to the whole.
Okay, so we will table this to our next committee of the whole meeting, which may not be till May till we have an actual.
Yeah.
Committee of the whole. So we're okay with that? Okay. So now we'll jump back down to committee and staff reports and I'll turn it over to Hollis.
So. The CEO report, that you received in your package, I prepared. Before I left on vacation, so there's not a lot into it. But I do have a couple of things to kind of add. So the regular stuff is. That I have, there's our totals, year over year comparison of our totals. We're tracking about where I expected we were gonna track, no surprises there. And our planning files, I'll get into more detail in the planning report, but. It doesn't seem to be slowing down year over year either. I have some reports there from our website, which our traffic is stayed up. There's a couple of other things that are not in that report that I'll add on to here. First one is that just yesterday, we had a committee meeting for the resilience committee. And that crosses over into our community development. And one of the outcomes of that was that resilience was born out of COVID, the response to COVID, and how we can be resilient as a community during that kind of an emergency. We're now facing a different type of potential, I wouldn't call it an emergency, but there's some difficult circumstances ahead. So a suggestion was made that maybe we need to pivot and change focus of that committee. There is another committee, which is Charlene heads up for economic development, and that includes OMB and Work at MB and it's specifically to do with tariff response. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect resiliency, community development, and economic development into a single point for the tariff response part, because the community development and the supports through people like Horizon Community Development, things like that. We can't obviously change layoffs or anything that happens. But what we can do is provide support to the community through mental health initiatives. And one of the good things that came out of this discussion was that we would get together and we would put out a campaign, probably including a video, probably including some other social media stuff, just about all the people that are working behind the scenes. That basically the message is we have your back, we understand. And that also all of the different resources that are available to people probably aren't aware of, like 211 and things like that. So that was, they came together during that meeting. It wasn't a planned thing, but it's a good response. And so I will keep you updated on where that goes.
Do you have a value for that? Or is it,
You mean money?
yeah, is there?
There's no money attached to this.
Okay,
This is just yeah, there's no actual money required.
okay, because there is money in the provincial budget for this type of stuff. We don't know how it's being divvied out yet, but
Yeah, we want to do
a little
quickly.
bit today on our thing.
At the moment, anyway.
Okay.
There's no money.
but what you're doing is not generating a cost to the regional. Okay, it's not.
Yeah, there's no cost. It's a partnership between a bunch of different people like Food Bank and people like
Okay.
Horizon Community Development, and us, and then like just like Ray and people like that. Heather Chase, that whole group. We just want to get that message out there that, because I know there's going to be a lot of anxiety. Oh, there's now.
Yes, gonna correct you on that. There is now.
There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of concern, and rightfully so. So more we can do to let people know that there are people in the background that are better off, I think, will be. And the only other things that I had to report that weren't in that report were the annual report is being started now, and that'll be a soonish, certainly before the AGM. And I had promised earlier to do a quarterly report, so that will be on time as well for the public to see. service commissions. And that's my report with all 3 days of working that I had between our last committee meeting and tonight's.
Any questions? Right. So solid waste is in closed session. We have the planning report.
Okay, won't go into too much detail here, but just for the public, the St. Stephen Municipal Plan is being presented. They're converting the draft St. Andrews Plan and zoning bylaw to a better format to communicate with. The Fundy Shores is now approved by ELG. It's being registered right now. Grand Manan plan is being worked on, and there's more work to do with council on that. There's been 52 new building development permits since the first of the year. Total value of permitted construction up in the first 2 months has been 7.1 million. 22 subdivisions were approved, 30 new building lots created in January till now. 35 net new homes have been permitted for construction so far this year. We've got 12 new enforcement files open so far this year. And moving on to other stuff, as we know, the HAF applications were unsuccessful for this round. And it's important to note that CMHC, we had them scrutinize these applications before they were submitted to make sure that everything was okay and go, and it was, but for whatever reason, they did get turned down. And yeah, there's more research we're doing to address what that shortfall stuff that is not residential. It's the synopsis of our planning report.
Questions?
You say there's another round of half coming up,
I don't know, this was round 2 and
so we don't know yet.
It'll be according to the election, I'm assuming.
yeah, it's hard to say right now because a lot could change between now and the next few months.
A lot could change between now and tomorrow, the way things are going lately.
The premier did mention that possibly a provincial one. Didn't go into too many details, but she did mention that a little bit, so.
I'm just wondering if we should be sending a letter from the service commission on behalf of all of our communities. How disappointed we are of not being chosen, one of our communities being chosen. This is the second round, and the first round, all the bigger communities, and the second round, the bigger communities are getting millions of dollars, and we're getting zero. I think we should draft a letter up just to.
Reduce.
Oh, did we send a letter on this,
Well,
on the second
no,
round?
well,
On the
no,
second round?
I mean, I let Brad speak, Brad put one out to all of us, and the
Oh, okay.
only 2 that dropped on was myself and Cam, that may have let Brad speak, but we did send a letter.
Okay, no,
I must have missed that.
I must have that.
Oh, I was under the understanding that we was gonna get Hollis right when we got for all of us.
I haven't sent it in yet, so it's not too late. If we want to, I could just send the draft to you, Hollis, if you want. And then we can just, as much as it's nice to have Bonnie's signature on it, there's a lot of power in a document that has every community listed and all of us signing it. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like it's a little bit more where every community signed it. I don't know, but I could send that to it. It's just a matter of adding other signatures to it the next time we get together.
I don't get it. We can't let this go on chat.
Yeah.
And we have to.
Yeah.
Because I guess what I'm saying is the squeaky wheel gets to the grease, yes.
I don't have no problem signing it, but we didn't apply for it, just sort of like, I don't know. what's there.
Use the plot,
We,
did they not get applied for from here like they did us, or?
But the bottom line is there.
but I'm in agreement with
So
everybody.
there's nothing
that-
wrong with you signing, even though you didn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
you might as well.
yeah, no, I just wanted to put it out there before.
The bottom line
Sign.
is, if one of us gets chosen, it's good for all of us.
Yep, no, I fully support the board and every community that somebody should have got something, they just, before I signed it, just wondered,
No,
you know, that we didn't apply, so.
You're the smart one because you saved yourself some time.
Yeah, you didn't waste all the time.
Well, I don't know. if
We're, we're no further ahead after hours and hours of planners doing applications.
the way it works out to some of them, maybe I would have got it.
You might have got
I
it.
got it.
Yeah.
Well, you're pretty close to St. John, you might.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, if Brad wants to circulate that, then I think that I'm hearing around the table, we'd like to sign on, so.
I'll make a motion that we send a letter in.
Motion by John, seconded by Harvey, that we sign a letter expressing our displeasure at the lack of funding from HAP for this region. Okay. Question? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Community development report.
Other than what I had just mentioned, I'll just briefly go through this for public. So ongoing communication, and ongoing networking with Veen. I don't think I added the grant application process, but that was in the previous report, and there's been several more grants applied for, and some doing a little bit more education as well. So ESIC, 2 more applications, it was another 12,800. So next month, we're gonna have a summary, and he will supply a whole kind of summary of all of there's a lot of small grants and things. And that'll be coming next month. We talked previously about OPT4 and ESIC. Right now, trying to nail them down for a meeting because they do want to meet with this board. It's looking like it could be June. But which is fine actually, because we have so much going on in the next couple of months. I think that probably works out well. But they will come down with their senior staff and talk about it to the board, where local governments and RC will fit into that plan. Spoke about regional resilience. So we're still working with Dollaride to get them on the new Blaze dispatch platform. We're not alone there though. Around the province, there's been some glitches and things like that. So we're not the last one not using it. And Dollarite's just been so busy, it's kind of hard to get time for them to sit down with it, but they're working slowly towards that. And we're working out the details about transferring the van. And we are doing some promotion for them for volunteer recruitment. They really do have a big need for volunteers. So if I could maybe coordinate, I might even coordinate through your CAOs. That's okay. To get some communication out in the communities about that.
I had somebody at home ask me if they thought they'd be allowed to volunteer for a show because we don't really have the service home, right? And I said, it don't hurt to call
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And we have that application in for the RTSF, World Transit Solutions Fund. We're going to hear from that. Now we're into an election, the federal election, it's a federal program, so we're into a federal election cycle, so.
That's the best way the rain is, or I call it the rain.
Yeah.
The rain best.
Yeah. And I spoke with her a couple of days ago.
Good. I told her to call you.
Yeah, she told me.
I gave her your phone number.
But I did update her, and so she knows how it's where that is now, so.
Somehow she knew you were on vacation too.
Yeah, and that's my report.
Any questions on the community development? Okay, economic development. Next page is actually the grant.
Yeah,
report.
report.
Yeah,
Oh, the grant report was there.
Yeah.
So I skipped that one. Sorry about that. Right. So yeah, again, successfully, we got the application in for the RTSF. Been working with several organizations to put together some plans and budgets. And some upcoming meetings with RDC and some other funders. There's a new streamlined intake that he's been working hard at, and we have a new sort of database of online database of grants that are available and ways of matching. So that's been a project. It's been a big project, but I think it's just about done. When you see in my reports, most are uploaded to sync. What that refers to is that's where we host our data now. So we don't use OneDrive, we don't use we don't use foreign servers anymore. So that this is a Canadian servers, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, he's had a lot more contacts from other organizations. Your recreation town hall today, Brad?
Yeah, I'm missing it right now.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But the plan is I can run over after this. That's why I'm really not here. I actually like all of you.
Yeah, he talked to them about some possible funding as well. And that's there's some stats there. 22 organizations. There's 12 projects on the go. There's 13 other organizations connected, and we'll have a better report next month on what the totals were for what's applied for and what was successful.
Sounds good. Questions? Okay, now we'll go to economic development.
No. So as I stated, there is a working group now in the region for tariff response. Charlie's kind of headed up that and getting all the local economic development folks as well as OMB and Working MB and anybody else connected to that world. And they meet quite regularly. The IRCC application was successful. That's for our zonal immigration resource. This is a fully funded position that'll be in our region to help anybody that is a new immigrant to the region to navigate. So that's great. This won't actually start until probably next year, but it was a onerous task to get that application through. It was quite the process. Anyway, we were successful there. There was a branding course that we sponsored, and we had over 20 businesses participate in that. The Spend Local campaign is going to run across social, and it's already started. It'll run for about 8 weeks initially, and the chambers, the various chambers in the region are supporting that as well. So this is a collaborative one. Our healthcare recruitment thing, so they're doing another NB HealthLink registration event in Eastern Charlotte. That's April 2nd. Same as the one that we had in St. Stephen. It was extremely successful. And yeah, that's the main part of that report.
I'd just like to make a comment.
Yeah.
Just want to give a shout out to Charlene, and there's more to just OMB and working in. She's been working with the chamber, the BIA, and she's been at the meetings. I saw her there. So a lot of people don't see all that work going on behind the scenes. So I just want to let people know that she's moving around with all the groups, not just what's on this report.
Yeah, no, and I keep telling her especially, but most of them, that you need to, in your report, let us know all the good stuff you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like, I know it's hard to remember all the stuff, but I want to make sure that people around the table know that she's doing that work.
Yeah, and also on this note, so the business summit, which is coming up, we're getting a lot of registration for it. And there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes on that. She didn't really talk about that much in her report here, but that's a big deal. And I got it even today. I was in a meeting, and it was from OMB was in the meeting. And they were talking about like that event as one of the best events in the province, and that. So that's been good, and that's a good boost, especially right now, for local business.
I just, quick point, I seen here that the next scheduled committee meeting for that is for May, so I'm assuming we're going back to the original committees or get back on track, or?
Yep, I've asked her to clear that up, as you can see, but yeah, we'll have that all solidified before then.
Like we kind of talked about that today or yesterday, I don't even know when it was, but I know that we got a small board now, and committee is something that we're not really getting, but if we could even just add one meeting a month with the same group that we're looking at right now to get these committees going, it would be, I think, do us well, I think, but that's just something to get those committees going.
I think that, yeah, I mean, that's been one of our concerns that we've talked about is how do we make sure that the municipal perspective is feeding into some of these committees, and it would be good to have that refocus, I guess, is maybe what best way to say that. So yeah,
And I'm gonna steal your words too, like even that was, this is something you
Yeah.
mentioned even before this weekend, but or this weekend, that was this week, yesterday, today, but like even let's not, like, let's pick the committees that really want to focus on and then go heavy on those ones or something, like literally focus on them instead of bits and pieces all over.
we talked about that as part of like the strategic review.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, are we gonna talk about that more like when we get to the annual meeting piece, or do we need to do that somewhere between the RCMP and our annual at the end of the month? Like we're starting to,
I know. Which is
the
why
ball's
I'm,
rolling quickly, yeah.
and this is kind of why I'm hesitant sometimes to let, other people, there's people who want to talk to us all the time. We've had the RC, we've had Minister RCMP, John Doran.
Yep.
And I mean, I can have meetings every week if you want me to, but I don't think you will, like.
And I think that that's one of the things I struggle with. And I think it's an easy entry place for Minister Kennedy, for Minister Dornan to talk to get a cross section of the region without going to community by community. And particularly when we're struggling to meet with some of those people, I think it's good to at least get them in the areas the first step. And those I think are, like, I don't want to meet just for the sake of having a meeting, but if we've got somebody who wants to come and it's a topic that is important around the table, I'm okay with having another meeting to do it.
Yeah.
That's my own personal perspective.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, important stuff, definitely.
And maybe, and like the RCMP, I'm struggling a little bit, I guess, because we haven't had a committee of the whole meeting. It'll have been 3 months essentially between those. So like that work that we're doing between the meetings, we're not doing because we've had people come in and we're losing that. And maybe that's where we do need to just add another one next month or this sometime in April, just to be ready for the annual meeting.
Yeah. So far behind it.
So when you think about maybe the third, like, I don't know, Thursdays seem to be the day that is the easiest to schedule.
I don't have access to either of my calendars right now, so I'm sure the third Thursday will be lovely.
I usually leave Thursdays alone because
Yeah.
here.
17th is right before the long weekend.
There's a long weekend.
Goes like Easter Friday,
Oh,
Easter Bunny.
The third Thursday of April. Is that what you're talking about?
If it's the day before the long weekend, I don't know, that's
I was gonna say that maybe is not the best day. What about
the first Thursday.
what about next Thursday?
well.
Oh, I see.
The
what
third?
never mind.
No.
Oh, that day's all right with me. I thought it was, when it said AGM, I thought it was our AGM on, I think you guys are scheduling a meeting on our AGM, but that's a different AGM, so I'm good to go either way, that, whenever.
So when are we talking? Next, not,
Yeah,
are you talking next?
Thursday,
Third.
Next week.
third,
April the 3rd. Just next
for
week.
committee of the whole. Just to regroup, so we're ready for the annual on the 24th,
I'm good.
without
Are
having
you
to
ready?
meet on the
Can you be
night
ready?
before a long weekend.
Can you be ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can we bring Lorraine in that night? Was it Lorraine? No, not Lorraine.
So saying next Thursday,
The dog people.
we should do it, but
I still wanna keep putting her off, because what she does is great work. I
yeah,
don't wanna keep
Yeah,
putting
as
her
long
off.
as the board's okay, I think keep her to a
Well-
fight.
I'd rather leave her till May
Okay.
and just let's have our internal conversation and be ready
Yeah.
for the annual.
Mm.
And then it's just too,
Yeah, no, sounds,
It's
that's
no-
why I said if
it's
she
no-
does come, keep it.
yeah, it's no
Right,
later
yeah.
than what we originally thought she was gonna be, and this will be like our one-off to,
Yeah.
is that fair?
I think we gotta focus on our committees.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
get
but
some-
no,
What-
I agree.
what? We do the 5:30 because of you, right? Because you, okay,
Yeah,
it's just that Alan and I's in a meeting until 6 o'clock, but they've been ending it
It went not this Thursday though, right?
every Thursday except for tonight.
Oh,
They didn't have it tonight because we have the one on Monday night, the round table.
if you,
That's your border marijuana?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that being said, the last 2 weeks, it's been over in time for like 5:30, 4 to 6, so we really.
6 o'clock is okay with me, I mean, for me, the critical part is wrapping up by 8.
That, I mean, I just meant that one time, the rest of the time, they've been going pretty good anyway, maybe
Yeah.
we won't have to worry about it,
mm.
I guess.
I can make.
I don't have that in my calendar for some reason.
You know, I got it. I got it.
What if we split the difference, say 5:45, if you guys can make it by then, if not, we can.
Well, I've been
Hold
doing
down.
mine right here in the,
in the
when I'm
parking
coming,
lot?
I do it right here in the parking lot anyway, so.
I got Monday night.
We have one Monday night for that, whatever the round table. is.
Yeah, okay, so that's a different
So
one.
are they gonna put a bunch of us together? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Yeah, so let's
Okay,
say
so-
5:45 on April 3rd, Brad, are you okay with that? Thumbs up, cool, okay. Perfect. Okay, we were,
I better put that
somewhere.
down right now.
I think we finished economic development,
Yeah.
is that where we were?
Yeah,
That's- yeah.
Moving on to tourism promotion, okay,
okay.
cool.
Tourism promotion, so last year with some of the funding that we had gotten, we hired, Hemmings House to do some video. That's gonna be ready for next month. So there's a whole bunch of things that we can take and extract and edit out of that video, and so everything around the region. They also want to do some more shoots coming up, and they have some scheduled for Campbell, McAdam, Eastern Charlotte, and St. Stephen early summer. To add to that, our website expansion is still being developed. I expect to see that soon, as well as the actual tourism guide, like the book, the physical book. Should be imminent. And that's really it for tourism right now.
Sorry, I'm way full of talking. I'm probably on the roll from the weekend, this week. Normally we do that on the weekend at UMMD. So I brought up, like, we're gonna start, we can change our focus on the fly on that, where this marketing goes. You mentioned that to me, right? So
Yeah,
that's-
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Just thinking that's
Yeah.
the landscape.
I
have
don't
to,
know that we
yeah.
have to though, because we actually did focus on where we need to focus for capturing tourism. Good tourism this year is about to explode in Canada,
Mhm,
especially here.
mhm.
But the markets that we're looking at are the markets that you would probably want to focus on anyway.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So was Fundy Shores and St. Andrews already done?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I just was reading them, didn't see them too.
Yep.
Okay,
I want to ask a question about the website, and probably you'll say I should look at it, but is like the restaurant stuff getting added all the time? Like, I know that's been a big pet peeve of people home, you know, some of the restaurant stuff wasn't on it, and that's kind of what you, whenever you're planning your trip, that's what you're thinking about the most, it seems like, so.
I'll be honest, Harvey, I haven't looked at it, so. I
Me
can't tell you
either,
for
so
sure.
I, and the only reason I say that, and I'm not complaining, you know, about share or anything, but like the lady that does the tourism on Earth said I haven't heard from her, or we haven't. I was like, well, I'll try to find some answers to it, so.
Just quick question tonight. Is any of the tourism shoots going to be done in rural district? Or have they?
I think they did.
That's what I
So-
was wondering, because I didn't see it listed
Yeah.
anywhere, but it's
Yeah.
not in the ones
If
that they
it's
plan to
not
go to.
listed, it was done. I know they went to Grand Man, and I know they went to Thunder Shores, I know. They were doing some rural stuff. I couldn't.
Covered
couldn't tell you
bridges,
where to go.
probably.
I wondered if they did the covered bridges.
Yeah,
Probably.
The
That would be
waterways,
first
you know, the
place to
rivers.
go.
yeah.
Yeah, just,
It's,
you know, I just wondered if they covered it.
River would be good for us.
Yes, it is.
This is the third document we've looked at where the rural district has not been mentioned as the rural district.
We still love you, though.
I know you do. Darling.
No, it's good that we have one positive note in all the tariff news going out there, that tourism will probably be one of the bigger winners this year. With people staying in Canada, taking care of their own people, the Americans probably will still be coming up here because the dollar is worth a lot of money, so they'll be coming up here. But like I say, our own Canadians staying here is gonna help out our tourism, our areas are gonna need it. I know in my area, there's a lot of uncertainties and there's a lot of stress and a lot of mental things going on because people are stressed and the companies are really worried right now. What's going on?
During COVID, when the province had that rebate program where you could get your meal money back or part of your overnight, our region led the entire province. So we're not a city, so people can get away and still feel like they got away. And since they're not going to the States, I anticipate this being maybe, and I could be wrong, maybe one of the busiest tourism seasons we've ever seen. The only thing that I'm a little leery of is last year we had almost perfect weather every weekend. I don't think we'll get that lucky again, but yeah, I think we're all going to see monster. I worry a little bit about St. Stephen though, just because the border traffic's down, and I think that that's probably a lot of people driving through the community, and I don't know if that'll impact you, Alan, but you probably have better insights than me through your you have that association of mayors and border communities. I'm sure you've talked about it.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the big advantages that I've been talking about with the ferry to Campbell. If it landed in St. Andrews. You imagine that connection for tourism.
Well, that's
St.
what
Andrews,
makes it make sense to me.
Ferry to Campbell, it just,
I personally asked her if she would let me be involved in some of that, and then the DTI guy the other night when we got him alongside, he said, whether she does or not, I'll definitely get involved. So that's good because it only makes sense. I mean, you're talking a handful of people that really want a ferry just to get the rest of them want a ferry just to say they got the ferry, but if we can make it make sense, maybe they'll do it.
But I think as we talked about today, I think it was that what happened in Woodstock of people coming across. They
Yeah.
got denied because they were asked what they thought of President Trump and they told them the truth and they were turned around. They weren't allowed to cross the border.
is that true though? Is that?
Yeah, no, it was a media, I seen it was, I talked to the mayor of the city of St.
Is that the
John,
one that
and-
they asked them,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
guy that
they
done the
said,
story was the he used to be St. John
Yeah.
Mayor, right? I
Yeah.
can't remember his name.
Yeah, I talked to them today and they said it was legit. They did whatever search and it was.
and all they said, I'm just glad he's not
But-
my president,
But,
that's all they
well,
said.
but my
Banned for
thing,
5
is what if,
Yes,
if
5
we're
years.
escalating to get to that point? We hope not, because like you said, Lubec and you guys have that, but so
Well,
does
we-
Callis and
yeah.
King Stephen, and if you get to that point that you can't get across now for a bottle of milk. And that, like.
What, okay, so let's play this
I
out a
don't,
little
I
more
don't wanna go
seriously.
too far though
No,
off topic.
no, but-
It's just, it's
Man,
a
this is
serious,
serious
serious.
Like, let's say someone on Campbell got banned for 5 years.
Well,
Like, what the heck would you
there's
do?
lots of people over there that can't go to the States. That's the whole reason a lot of people are. Right? for the
Yeah.
ferry, but
But they certainly
But
can
their
turn it
own
off.
doing. You know what I mean?
But take that Woodstock
But this-
incident to there.
But if that could happen to anybody, you know, there's
It's-
a lot of us are opinionated. Like, I don't know what I'd say. As a matter of fact, I was just thinking about when we went to basketball last weekend, that we got in a random, well. Whatever, you know, what I mean, you know, it's probably something to do with that. So the guy I know real well, because we go through there every day, I said. Your commander in chief must have made you pick on poor old Campbell, just joking or whatever. He laughed or whatever, but if I'd had that. I might not have been here talking to you tonight. I might have been on Zoom with Brad, right? That's what's scary.
So
Wow.
I see there's an extra ferry like Johnny Ridgway sits there and doesn't get used. Is that something that can be used?
I think they have talked about it, but I do think we talked about this today. Maybe
Yeah,
this is
we did.
where to bring it up that we was hoping maybe we could do some kind of something from the service commission saying them guys need that ferry to be started up now kind of thing. Cause like with the sports team, that's what bothers me the most. I mean, right now, we can still get our gallon milk. They're not really charging us on or you know what I mean? And but when we're still getting through, but now we've got a whole group of kids that can enjoy their childhood sports because, and I don't blame the teams, like McAdams coming tonight, but they're a border team. They probably never even thought about not coming because they're a border You know what I mean? But like Graham School, two in both schools in St. George said they won't come for volleyball, and you can't blame them. I can't sit here and say anything bad about them not coming, because might be in the same shoes if I was in their shoes, so. And we talked about this at the table here this morning, so maybe, I'd like to think maybe the service commission could write something, which I know Hollis has done a great job advocating for it anyway, but maybe we need, like, it's an emergency right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's not we just want to pay, like, we need something.
So, and I talked to you guys about this morning, is the fact is. We should be ready, like, you should be able to have that ferry today.
Yeah.
If it was needed, like,
Well,
cause anything could happen. Like, we were seeing the craziness, and if something happened immediately, you need to be react immediately, so that ferry should just be literally ready to go there. Like, whether
But-
the landing should
and
be
it
ready,
could-
the ferry's gonna be ready, and that's it.
But
could
if that
start,
and commit to
incident,
that.
if that incident, which it could, cause we've seen it
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
And if this escalated tonight, which knowing the political atmosphere we're in, it could. And if it did, that could happen by tomorrow morning. Somebody from Campbell could be going
Could
over to
happen to
get
me
a
on the way
bag of
home.
bread. And Lubec, and the border could, whatever orders they get, I mean, I don't, they could say,
They
no,
have to
you're
follow the
not,
orders.
you're not allowed to cross no more.
You could have
Then
me
what?
on the way home, I've been
No,
on every news
yeah.
channel from here to
You're completely
Vancouver,
isolated.
you know what I mean, they could say, you know what, he's the guy.
Yeah, complete
Like,
isolation.
it's gonna be ready, like, literally ready, I can't sit there, we
Sorry.
should have had that in place when COVID happened. I
They-
mean,
they-
when you're having trouble with the mail.
They ran last week, so they could run today.
Would someone like to make a motion that we send a letter to have the Campbell Ferry service ready to go?
So I just
Yep.
for, so you know, I've actually already emailed both of our federal candidates today,
Okay,
and I did get a response from one. Which is positive, because I know there's a federal component to this as well, even though ferries are going eventually, there needs to be a federal component as well, and it could be
Well,
BC Ferries does this, right?
but for the emergency one, it's the province, because that's who paid for it before, so. But yes, we definitely had broader.
So are you ready to declare a public safety emergency?
Well, no, you're not far off, that might be something you might have to do.
When it
for,
comes,
yes,
when it
and-
comes to the kids, I feel that way, yeah, like, to me, if they told me I can't go over tomorrow for some reason, I'll figure it away, but. When you're affecting kids' lives, it really bothers me.
But you almost could, based on the fact what happened in Woodstock, and I'll even say.
Yeah.
even
Oh, I
no,
agree.
But if that was considered, if it is legit, we 98% sure it is. But if it's legit, you could almost use that and say it could happen
Yeah.
here if it happened up there. And I feel bad because I know you complete isolation.
and what if you are the coach that has a group of kids in the back of your van, and now you're stranded on Campobello with
That's what I'm saying,
10 kids that aren't
I
your
can't
own,
get-
or 8
yeah.
kids that aren't your own?
I can't get mad at those people for not
Right.
coming, because there's so
Yeah.
many circumstances, it could be bad.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not, so that's a good point, but it might not be an islander, it could be
It could be.
me
something-
with my kids from St. Stephen's, so to speak, and then
That's
I'm
right.
on there and stuck.
That's
Yeah,
why, yeah,
But
Yeah,
that's
like,
why
I know-
some aren't going over because they're scared.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just catching that now, sorry.
So what
Yeah,
is it?
like my niece plays volleyball,
Right.
last year when they went to Campobello, they all got in their coach's van, and she
And they-
drove the whole group
Right.
over there, so. She's got like all these people's kids with her, and now you're trapped on Campobello, I mean, we figure out how to get them back to Grand Manan,
Right,
but that's a
right.
little bit easier than.
so I was very vocal when it was the Sam school that said they wouldn't come play basketball because of one kid. Well, I did some research, I went to American Customs, and they said, no, we give them the paper that they need to fill out. For this kid to be able to come back and forth, they chose not to do it, I said, well, you know what, they should forfeit, but they didn't, we come to St. Stephen, played our home game, I was against it 100%. And this is the reason why I was against it, now we've set a precedence not to have to come to Camp Well, but in this case, I don't blame these teams, because they don't know what's gonna happen for them for sure, but I don't know, so anyway.
It's
So
good discussion, but-
I think we were going to write a letter, somebody was gonna make that motion, Hollis has already reached out to the federal candidates, but do we wanna send a provincial letter? Or we,
I would ask that we would, and we did through Synergy
I
today,
make the motion.
so.
I support that, whatever.
so John made the motion, I'm hearing Denny seconded it. Okay, is that fair?
Sounds good.
Question?
Just on the letter, are we going to I mean, we know the situation, but I think we should push it to as many ministers as possible. If this is a public safety issue, which it seems to be.
Yeah.
And if this is a transportation issue, and if this is, if it's the local, MLAs and all these people, you've got to get as many people aware of it as possible. Don't just send it to one minister. It's got to go to multiple, and maybe the premier as well.
I think the premier and the other ministers.
Anybody that would be directly or indirectly involved in this decision-making process.
Send it to the Department of
So I think
Education. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
I think
Yeah,
they can
yeah.
make it happen.
Okay, so, just so for my reference, so DTI, premier, local government,
Minister of Transportation, federal.
Yeah, he got DDR,
Oh,
public-
that's the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
public
DTI.
safety. Education,
education,
can we figure anybody else that might be implicated?
attorney general. Or-
Finance.
What's
Now we're
that?
going to go into the premier.
Finance, yes,
Minister of Finance.
finance, because somebody's gonna pay for it.
Yeah, did we say Minister of Public Safety?
I think that's a pretty good start anyway, and if we come up with somebody else, we can always.
Yeah.
Keep on.
That's a good point, because it could come to the point that RCMP can't even get beyond.
Yeah.
I know you, but they don't get there enough anyway, but the
Oh,
saying,
they get there enough to find me for speeding, so they get
They
there.
get
once in a
you?
while. Oh, yeah.
no, but that'd be someone that concern, if that gets through the public safety will get through that point.
I think at this.
Ambulance services,
Ambulance services, yeah.
Well, it's no good to have an ambulance if they can't get there from here.
there you go.
Okay.
I think it's, that's a different level now.
I guess we're on uncharted waters here. This is the first time this has happened.
Any other question on the motion before I lose track of that, Hollis?
Do you want me to circulate it to all of you before I send it?
Wouldn't take long to do so.
Yeah,
Yes, email a copy.
Yeah, it should
and
be
we'll turn
email
it around
copy.
fast.
Yeah.
I don't care if I see it before, but we should have a copy anyway, just to have it.
And you can, and Hollis can sign on behalf of the board.
Yeah, sure.
Unanimous consent.
Any other question? All those in favor?
All right.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Brad turned around and grinned. I thought he was gonna be contrary there for a minute. All right,
If I was going to do that, it would be something a little bit more,
controversial.
something to get under Alan's skin. I'd probably do it, but
Thanks, bud.
All right, I think that was the end of our tourism promotion report.
That was good.
That was tourism.
I know, that's bigger for five
All right, so that brings us up to the financial update.
Okay, so same as last month, I've included the full unedited comparative income statement. Just so you can see them, because there's a lot to go on in the first 2 months of the year, right? I do want to point out a couple of things. The target we're looking for here is 84%. So on the expense side, if you see something is 84% or higher, that's good. That means we haven't spent as much as we budgeted for. It's gonna look like we're in a deficit again, but we're not. It's just because we have a lot of quarterly funding payments that haven't come in. Well, they've come in, but this is only January and February. I don't have it all for the month yet, but I have seen a lot of them. So you're gonna see a lot of zeros in the revenue section for things like economic development, community development, transportation, all those types of things, because I haven't got the money yet. And because of the quarterly regional services support fund and whatever. But the rest of it is on track. Including solid waste is right where it's supposed to be. You'll see that our expenses are running below budget. And our revenue is pretty much what exactly we budgeted, so that's about where we want to be. And yeah, I'll take any questions on it if you have them. But like I say, it's weird to look at the first 2 months when I get quarterly payments and it looks like we're losing $100,000. We're not.
Questions on the financial report?
And just in addition, so next at our AGM meeting, we're gonna have Jeff Mitchell come and give us a report on our investments. Because I know that's probably a concern to everybody considering what the markets are at.
Into a state he comes here.
I heard his name earlier.
Yeah,
Any questions on the financial? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. All right, we will wait for the live.
Hi, everyone.
Do we come back? We do come back after.
Do we?
We don't come back live.
Okay.
There's no point, 'cause we're just gonna come back and close the meeting.